الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. So today the class is on Aqeedah. Aqeedah is the belief and how to strengthen your belief. So one of the questions which you always get thrown at you if you believe, if you talk to people who don't believe, if Allah exists, why don't we see Him? When did you walk in? Didn't see him. Harun. So, is Isa here? No. Oh, you are Isa. So, what would be your answer? If Allah exists, why don't we see Him? Rujain. If you do exist, we should see you. Otherwise, there's nothing called the hat which make you disappear. We saw a film, when you put the hat on, you disappear. And he goes and steals from the jewelry shops and things. So, how would you address the question? Probably this is easier. How would you address the question?
Use an example that they can relate to. So, for example, you can't see your brain.
You can't see?
Your brain.
Your brain. But it does exist. And if you open the skull, you will see it.
That's the point. Yeah,
but there's a mechanism to see it. You chop the top of your head or make a hole. This is the only time you are allowed to make a hole in the brain, when there is a swell in the brain which is going to kill you if you don't make a hole in the brain. So you make a hole. And the same, when you have the trachea blocked, you are allowed to... The best way they taught us as doctors is to take a pinpoint pin, push it in, so the air go through it. You can breathe in and out. Don't do it at home, unless somebody suffocated. But what's the process of seeing? Go to see Allah Azza wa Jal, you're following a physics, a law of physics, which is what? What's the law of seeing? Physics. Talking physics. I saw your hand moved. Harun, what's the law of physics, seeing, according to physicists? Yeah.
Is it the speed of light?
It has something to do with the light, yeah, but how would you see objects? What happened? I always ask people to take clue from the board, because the previous class we went through the same question. So if you look at the board, you might find a clue.
Atoms.
What happened to the atoms? They're tiny. Yes, the atoms are tiny, but how do we see the atoms? Do you see light? Do you see light?
Due to the sun, like the sunlight.
Do you see the sunlight?
Oh, yeah.
Yes? Who say yes? You see the sunlight. Who say no? You have, the rest are undecided. Again, you look at the board. At night, the sun is there, the earth is there, you're sitting here because it's night for you. The sunlight goes, fill the universe around us, the solar system, but you don't see it. You only see it if it hits an object in the atmosphere called the moon. It happened, the moon is over there. The light hit the moon, and you can see the moon. You don't see the light of the sun, you see the moon as an object, yeah, hanging in the atmosphere. So what's the physicist said about seeing? The first one was, by the way, is Ibn al-Haytham, a Muslim scholar in Baghdad. We studied that a few years ago, and I gave you the 1001 inventions. Any of you were here? The big book. Yeah, we need to. Were you there? Were you in the class?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we need to do that again, inshallah. 1001 inventions. One of them, Ibn al-Haytham, when he came with the right theory of seeing, that the object send the light to your eye and you see the object. If nothing coming from the object, you can't see the object. So if it's dark at night, dark, pitch dark, and you can't see nothing around you, you stumble across the tables and the chairs, unless somebody switch on the light. So when they switch on the light hits the object, and the object you can see. So you need two things. First, you need a light hitting the object, a photon hitting the object, and you need the object. When the photon hit the object, what happens? Another physics. What happened? On the board. When the photon hit the object, the photon hit the electron and moved the electron from one layer to another layer. So when the electron goes back to its original layer, he ejects a photon. And that photon comes and hits your retina and you see the object. The light hit the object, and the object, the electron moved from a layer to another layer, and when it goes back, it emits a photon and you see that object. So, but you need the object to be there. And Allah is not made out of objects. He's not made out of electron and proton and iron, magnesium and copper, and that's science fiction things. And in this, the Christian believe God is Jesus, so you could see God, Jesus there. But if he was God, he would be invisible, because he's not an atom. He's not a collection of atoms. He's not made anyway. Allah is there. He makes things. We don't know what Allah is, but we know Allah does things. And he makes things happen. And one of the things he made, atoms. And he gave it physical law. An atom a light could hit the atom. And if the light powerful, it hit the atom could emit a powerful light called, what's the powerful things come from atom? Could damage you. What's your physics now? The atom gets hit by a light. If it's daylight, you see the daylight emits back to you from the object and doesn't harm you. But there is some photons could hit the object and emit a harmful light to you called ultraviolet, gamma rays, radiation, theta rays. Because subatomic particles behave like objects when you can see it, and behave like rays. The photon and the electron could behave like a ray. How did they discover that? There's double slit theory. Do you know the double slit? They put an object here, a barrier, with two slits here, and they throw electrons on it. So you imagine the electron go from that slit will hit the board here, and that electron coming from this slit hit the board here. But what they found, that there's a range of hit, a maximum in the middle, and the less on the side, and less on the other side. So they came to discover that electrons behave like wave. One time it's electron, an object, and one time it's a wave. And this is why they thought if we make use of this, we can create something called quantum computer, when it's instantly solve problems, because it will be a wave spreading everywhere. You don't have to move from area to area to area to find the answer. You find the answer straight away because you're spread everywhere. And if they discover that, if the quantum computer start working, you need to withdraw your money from the bank, keep it at home in gold or silverware, because they will steal your money from your bank instantly. The scammer do not need to ask you questions. They will just go put the possibility of your password, And quantum computer instantly will find the password and they will steal your money. So the atoms subatom could behave like a wave and could behave like atom. But you can't see either. The subatomic particles you cannot see. If you can't see, then what happened? If you expose the electric wire, you see the electron moving, you don't touch. But you don't see it. You touch it and you're dead. There's electron there. How can you see the electrons in the wire? Another question, physics. This is why, if you discuss with the atheist, why can't we see Allah Azza wa Jal, you win. Because physically, the question should not have risen. Because you see objects. Allah is not an object. What Allah is, we don't know. What we know, Allah creates objects. He makes things appear to us. He creates things we cannot see, like photons. The sky full of photons during the night. The sun is there, but we can't see it. The moon, when the moon is out there, we know the sun is still there. The end of the month, when you can't see the moon, you wouldn't know whether the sun has gone or not. There's nothing to reflect. Unless you have a telescope and you could see Jupiter or Pluto or whatever. But Allah created the photons you cannot see, although filling the space. There's photons here on your right and left, the angels, made of light, but you can't see. Oh, there's no angels. Okay, if you don't want to believe there's angels, they are made of photons, they are made of light. Then you can deny the light in the atmosphere at night, which you cannot deny, so you cannot deny the existence of angels. Because both created by Allah Azza wa Jalla and both are not visible. Obviously, the angels are not made, they are not light as such, they're made of light. We don't know what's beyond light. Because when the Prophet ﷺ saw Jibreel in the heavens, when he went on Mi'raj, he saw him in his original size, 600 wings filling the space. So Jibreel was filling the space. When he came to see Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he was in the shape of a man. And in the horizon, yes, but shape of a man, small. So they are able to form themselves in a shape, appear to you. And the jinn the same. The jinn made of invisible also, smokeless fire. They're made of fire, but you can see the fire when they are emitting light. But if they're not emitting light, smokeless fire. How would you prove to somebody that there is fire without flame? There is a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah Azza wa Jalla heated the hellfire until it became red. Then he increased the heat until it became white. And then he increased the heat until it became black. So the hellfire doesn't have a flame to give light. فَلَهَبُهَا لَا يُضِيء. The flame of the hellfire doesn't emit light. And how can you prove to me there is now fire without flame and can heat and burn things? And exists probably in all your houses, probably all of you. What's that? Fire doesn't light. Come on. What's in your kitchen? I have an image. What's in my kitchen? Mom. Yeah, that's right. Well, mom not always in the kitchen. Don't give the women a description which is not true. Could be prime minister, could be queen, could be. So what's that in your kitchen? Emit fire, heat without flame.
An oven.
A type of oven called?
Electrical. Stove.
Microwave. Yeah, microwave. When we came in 1985, I bought my first microwave. It was new in the market. Nobody knew what microwave is. But here you are, we put the food and the food gets cooked. Put the egg, 1.5 minutes, it's cooked. So the microwave creates heat which you cannot see. So then the hadith came to my mind, فَلَهَبُهَا, the flame of hellfire doesn't emit light. Although they get burned in hellfire, and where the burn coming from. So Allah created angels you cannot see. He created jinn you cannot see. You can't even see the effect of them. How would you see the effect of them? Unless they are concentrated and Allah made them visible to us. Because the Sahabi, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, was reading the Quran, and then he found that his horses became very agitated. So he stopped, agitation gone. And then he started reading again, and then became agitated. So he came outside and he found that the candles, like, lamps in the heaven. And he told Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he said they were angels listening to you, reading the Quran. If we carried on, they will be visible to everybody else. So they could be made visible to you, and so the jinn. The jinn could be instantly visible to you, but you can't, first you don't know they are jinn, so you can't catch them. The Prophet ﷺ was in the mosque, and the Ifrit appeared. A shaitan appeared, and the Prophet ﷺ caught him. And he caught him, and then he felt his like saliva on his hand. And he said, I was about to tie him to the column in the mosque so the children would see him the next morning. But I remembered what my brother Sulaiman prayed to Allah, that he will have power, nobody else should have it. And Sulaiman ﷺ was able to get hold of the jinn and use them and the shaitan, and he let him go because he shouldn't have a power similar to Sulaiman. So instantly he saw him, he knew he was shaitan, caught him. Abu Hurairah was guarding the zakah money, and Iblis himself came in the shape of a man, old man. I really, need money, my family, my children, my, give me from zakah. From the zakah money. And he said, I can't give you. I'm trusted on it, but I'm not allowed to give. He said, and he went. The Prophet, he told Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he said, he was lying to you and he will come back. And he came the next day and he made the same story. I'm poor, my children, my, and give me. He said, no, there's no way I can give you. And he told the Prophet ﷺ, and he said he was lying and he will come back. And he came the third time, and he said to him, I'll teach you the top ayah in the Quran. And if you give me, he said, what's the top ayah? He told him, Ayatul Kursi. So he didn't give him, and he left. And the Prophet ﷺ said to him, what he said was correct. Ayatul Kursi is the top ayah in the Quran, but he was lying. And that was Iblis. He won't come back. So he didn't come back. So the fact that Abu Hurairah saw Iblis on 3 consecutive days. Some people might see or not see a shaitan, but they wouldn't know. Abu Hurairah didn't know until he asked the Prophet, and the Prophet told him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he wouldn't know. So they could be visible for seconds. They can't be visible for long. If they are caught, they could get killed. But you wouldn't know they are. And some people use this to frighten others. Oh, he was shaitan, he was coming to you. No, we wouldn't know. Because Allah Azza wa said in the Quran, إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ وَقَبِيلَهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُمْ. Shaitan will see you and his followers while you don't see them. Even if you see them, it's instantly, split of second, you wouldn't know. You think a shadow or something, you wouldn't know. But obviously some either mentally impaired or people who deliberately use this to play tricks on feeble-minded and say, oh, that was shaitan. And there were 2 mullah in Manchester. They were brought a lady who was depressed and mentally ill, and they said to her, there's a shaitan living in you. We'll have to hit you till you get the shaitan out of you. So they kept hitting her and she died. And they're both in prison now. How dare you do that? Where in Islam, if you first, where in Islam that shaitan could live in you? Shaitan is smokeless fire. You go through you. The Prophet ﷺ says shaitan go through you like the blood go through your body. But you go from end to end. It doesn't sit in you. And if you believe shaitan sits in you, you need to see a psychiatrist. He'll give you some tablets. Don't worry, you'll get better. And these guys, they were convinced shaitan sit in the lady, and they were convinced if they hit the lady, shaitan will feel the pain and run away. How do you know shaitan will feel the pain? Somebody asked his sheikh, his teacher, he said, if shaitan made of fire, and shaitan will be in hellfire, how will be painful to him? How will fire will be painful to a shaitan made of fire? And the teacher smacked his face. He said, why is that? He said, did you feel it? He said, yes. He said, that's a flesh and that's a flesh. Flesh hit the flesh, painful. So the fire hit the fire, painful. So shaitan created by Allah, you can't see. Angels created by Allah, you cannot see. The photons created by Allah, you cannot see. Gravity created by Allah, you cannot see. Time created by Allah, you cannot see. How time created? What is time? There's two things about time. Time, which is the power exists, change things, is Allah. Allah said, تسب ابن آدم الدهر وأنا الدهر بيدي الأشياء الليل والنهار أقلبها كيف أشاء. The son of man insults the time, the dahr, and I am dahr. I change things. So time change things, Allah Azza wa Jal. Time passes on moving object is what the time we know. The time you know is just you left home, you came here, it took you 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Now you're traveling in time in my class, you're not traveling in space. Yeah? You either travel in time or space, or time and space. Yeah? So if you're traveling, now you're traveling in time in my class. You could be traveling in time and space once you're moving, going back home. But you could travel in space without time. How? How do you travel in space without time? Yes?
Speed of light.
Yeah, the speed of light, theoretically, you travel in space without time. The time diluted when you fast. The faster you are, the shorter your time. If your speed is infinite, your time is 0. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is not subject to time. He's in the past and He's in the present and He's in the future at the same time. The now time. Always now for Allah Azza wa Jalla. This is why when you understand that, you understand the qadar. How Allah Azza wa Jalla wrote what's going to happen 50,000 years before it happened. And it happened as He wrote. Depends when He wrote it. For you, 50,000 years ago, before the creation of the universe, for Allah Azza wa Jal, it's the future. Because He's in the future at the same time. He saw it happened and He wrote it. So, and it happened as He wrote it, because He saw it happen. To Him, it happened already. Where in the Quran you have a verse to say that to Allah Azza wa Jal, things has already happened? Where in the Quran? Allah talking about things has already happened to Him. For us, we are waiting for it to happen in the future. It's in Surah An-Nahl. أَتَى أَمْرُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَسْتَعْجِلُوا. The day of judgment has happened, but for you, don't hurry it up. How Allah confirmed to us that the day of judgment already happened? And which one of us has seen that happened? And how He was, and when, where? This is why you need the history in Islam. What happened to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in year 11? After he came down from Taif and before he met the people of Medina, he had a journey. What was the journey? He was taken, Sarah?
Isra Miraj.
Yeah, Isra and Mi'raj. Isra, he went from Mecca to Jerusalem and back in the same time. In Mi'raj, he went from Jerusalem up to above the seven heavens and to Jannah and back. And what did he see in Jannah? He saw so many things. One of it, he saw the palace of Umar ibn Khattab. He saw Bilal walking in Jannah. And he came back to him and he said, Bilal, what have you been doing? And heard you in Jannah moving, going backward. And he said, nothing, Ya Rasulullah, but every time I lose my wudu, I renew my wudu. And every time I renew my wudu, I pray 2 rak'ah. I said, that's it. But he saw him in Jannah, and Day of Judgment hasn't happened yet. And he saw people punished in hellfire, and Day of Judgment hasn't happened yet. So he went up in space, and he traveled in time to the future and back. And that wasn't a miracle he was telling people about. He said, this is what I've been chosen to. I was taken on a night journey. Usriya bi, he said. I was taken on a night journey. And urija bi ila sama. I was taken up to heaven. So for Allah Azza wa Jalla, He is already in the future, took His servant Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the future and back. And he was talking about Jannah, what he saw in Jannah. And Umar ibn Khattab said to him, can you tell us more about Jannah? He said to him, if I sit for 1,000 years telling you what I have seen in Jannah, I wouldn't mention just a little drop of what's in Jannah. So obviously the Prophet ﷺ saw in Jannah what it will take you millions of years to see in short journey. How that happened? I wrote an article in news around 3 months ago that once the Day of Judgment is taking place, it's the last day, isn't it? Yawm al-Akhir. The last day means, what means? The last day. There's no day after that last. So in Jannah, there is no tomorrow. Yeah? There's no sun to rise and sit and tomorrow and next week and next month. It's always today, always now. So in Jannah, time disappears for you. And in Jahannam, they will be there forever. So Allah Azza wa Jalla created time for us to sense. But the time, the dahr, we won't sense. The dahr, Allah Azza wa Jalla is the start without the first without a start and the last without an end. So Allah is not created full stop to see. You need something created by Allah Azza wa Jalla and made out of atoms, by the way. Because as we said, the photon you will not see, electrons you will not see. You will not see the photon unless it's thrown on you from an object. Nam.
I didn't know about Aqeedah, there's like schools of thoughts. Like there's Ash'ari, there's Athari, Maturidi, so...
The Ash'ari and Maturidi, they have explained about Allah Azza wa Jal, about His descriptions, but they didn't go in depth like we do now, because we have a lot of physics now, and a lot of chemistry, a lot of biology. Now, they wouldn't be able to explain what I'm talking about regarding to like the photons, the electrons, what didn't exist at that time. There were no knowledge about it. Ibn al-Haytham, the one in the time of Abbasi, he discovered or wrote the theory of light emitted to you from the object for you to see. So before him, people were thinking that you send a ray to see things. And he said, no, because during the night you don't see anything. And your eyes still intact, nothing wrong. But they wouldn't go in depth about biology. What Darwin didn't know, he thought that the cell is a cytoplasm with a dot of carbon in the middle. Reshape it, you get a fish. Reshape it, you get a frog. You reshape it, you get a bird. It's not. every cell has millions and millions of functions, and it has so many components that the cell will not allow anything to get inside the cell until it is recognized as a wanted object. This is why many drugs will not come to the brain, will not cross the brain barrier. You need certain drugs which can cross the brain barrier, because the brain cell is the most sensitive cells and so much protected. So he thought that you reshape the cells and you get a different creature. That's why he came with the evolution theory. And then this reshaped and this reshaped. He's an idiot. He doesn't know that every cell. Now, what's the difference between us and the chimpanzees? They have like 99% of the components of our DNA. And guess what? Bananas have 96%. So you could say, oh, he's a tall guy. His grandfather was a banana. Can't say that. What's your ancestor? Oh, I came from banana. All right, good for you. It's like this father was teaching his son. He said, you know, Adam and Eve were created in heaven and then sent down to earth, and they had children, grandchildren. He said, Dad, but my mom said that we came from apes. He said, her side of the family. Or his side of the family. The father saying, no, we came from apes. His mom said, no, that's his side of the family. My side of the family, we came from Adam and Eve. And to jump between a species and another species is not possible. You cannot jump. Because not something, you need to modify the cell in a way beyond your ability. The DNA component, if you move one amino acid, you get the whole body destroyed. If you get to 3 trisomy 21, what happened to you? If you are born, you should have 2 21 chromosomes, but you have 3. Instead of 2, you have 3 21. What happened to you? You become Mongolism. You become Mongol child. You know the Mongol child? They're like Chinese looking and mentally learning disability, have a disability, can't learn well. If you get 19 chromosome, what happened to you? One of my friends, they examined his wife. They said, your baby has 19 chromosomes. You have a choice to abort the child. We can take the child out because the child will maximum live 6 months and then will be dead. Can't live. If you have 19 chromosomes, 3 of the 19 chromosomes, you will be dead in less than 6 months. I suggested he actually his wife had abortion. Oh, haram, we can't do that. It will not live. Either will be born dead or will die within 6 months. He died after 2 months and he buried him in the cemetery. But his wife had to go through 9-month pregnancy and all this suffering and carrying the baby in the exhaust and things and then give birth and the labor and all the pain, and the child cannot even swallow. So you can't jump from species to species. That's a big lie. The smallest protein to form, you need, if it appears by chance, the chance is 1/10 the power of 850. Anything is less than 1/10 the power of 50 is 0. Why is that? Cannot exist. If the chance is less than 1/10 power of 50 is 0. I'll give you an example. If I don't buy this lottery ticket, they will ask you to have 6 numbers for a chance to win the jackpot once in 40 million in a week. If they ask you to choose 10 numbers, the chance is 0 to win the lottery. Why is that? Because you can only win every 200 years. And no one lives more than 110 and then 5. So you need to wait for 200 years for your chance to win the lottery. So the chance is zero. They can make it 10 numbers, but nobody will buy because nobody wins next week. Nobody wins. The chance is zero. If it's 1 out of 10 numbers, you need to choose the 10 numbers. The chance is zero. What about if you want to choose 10 times 50? So 10 with 50 zeros next to it. The chance is zero, even for the protein to exist. So the more you know about physics, the more you answer the question that Allah is not seeable. It's not an object you can see. It's not made of an object you can see. And Allah Azza wa Jal sees you wherever you are, but you cannot contain Allah. Wallahu bi kulli shay'in muhit. Allah surrounding everything. And Allah wasi'un alim, vast. So if Allah has borders, then there's things outside His border, He has no control over it. And that's wrong. Allah is muhit. He's surrounding everything. بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ مُحِيطٍ. So Allah Azza wa Jal is beyond your even imagination. And لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Nothing similar to Allah. Nothing. Says, yeah, you can see the table. Yeah, similar to you in a way that contains some atoms, carbon and there's iron there. Similar to you in a way. There's nothing similar to us between us and Allah. This is why Muslims can never believe Allah has a son. But you saw, and born from Mary, and was eating food in the morning and going to the loo in the afternoon. You can't imagine that. You can't even imagine that, Allah has split. How would you know? Allah is one unit. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ Ahad. Ahad means one unit, one entity. Allahu Samad. There's nothing empty in Him. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Doesn't split. Wasn't born from any. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ مِثْلُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ. Nothing equal to Allah. So, by definition, when the Jew came to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked him to describe his Lord, Allah revealed Surah Al-Ikhlas. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٍ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Ahad, one unit and one of his kind. Nothing similar to him. ولم ليس كمثله شيء. Nothing similar to Allah. Yet He hears and He sees. Does He need an ear? It's like I saw this psychology course. They present Allah as a big eye looking at the earth. The eye bigger than the earth, so He sees everything. You can't say Allah rely on eye. Oh, He has high infection today. You can't say that. Oh, Allah Azza wa Jalla broke His arm. You can't say that. Oh, He need 2 legs or 10 legs. Almighty. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, لِمَا لَمْ تَسْجُدْ لِمَا خَلَقْتُ بِيَدَيَّ. He said to Iblis, why didn't you bow to the one I made out of with my own hands, 2 hands? And then Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَالسَّمَاءُ بَنَيْنَاهَا بِأَيْدٍ وَإِنَّا مُوسِعُونَ. The heaven we built with mighty hands. So one time He said 1 hand, يَدُ اللَّهِ فَوْقَ أَيْدِيهِمْ. One time He said 2 hands. One time He said multiple hands. So how many hands Allah has? Trillion, zillion. You can't say that. The hand of power, the hand of ability, the hand of... They say He has a hand reach everywhere, which means that He has contact. It's not He has a hand in the Ministry of Defense, He has a hand in the Ministry of Agriculture, He has a hand in the Ministry of Education. No, it means that He has a power, ability. And Allah knows what He meant by the hand. You can't say Allah has no hands. You can't say that. Allah has a hand. You can't say that either. Because you're comparing Allah to you. So Christianity, in a way, is a projection, man-made God. They want God to look like this. Now.
I thought there's a Quran verse which refers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala having a hand. So is that like a metaphorical?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. One place Allah said, Yadullahi has a hand, the hand of Allah. And one place He said, created Adam with his 2 hands, biyadayya, 2 hands. And one place He said, the sama'u banaynaha, having created with mighty hands. Hands mean 3 or more, million hands. But Allah Azza wa Jal uses these to bring ideas to our mind, to our understanding. So we know what Allah is talking about. But you can't say Allah Azza wa Jal Nasullaha fanasiyahum. They say Allah said that they forgot about Allah, so Allah forgot them. Can you say Allah forgetful? You cannot. It's haram because Allah Azza wa Jal said in another part of the Quran, وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ نَسِيًّا. Your Lord never forgetful. لَا تَأْخُذُهُ سِنَةٌ وَلَا نَوْمٌ. Doesn't have an hour, he doesn't sleep. So Allah Azza wa Jal is beyond our imagination as what Allah is. He's not made anyway. You can't say what Allah is made of. We can't say that. But what Allah's essence is, don't know. But Allah Azza wa Jal descriptions we know: Rahman, Rahim, Malik, Quddus, Salam, Mu'min, Muhaymin, Aziz, Jabbar, Mutakabbir. 99 names, and there's 218 names because of his action, like al-Mu'afi and al-Shafi. So when it comes to if Allah exists, why don't we see him? We can't see the photons to see Allah. And the photons do exist. Nobody can deny that. You cannot see the electrons, and they do exist. You cannot see gravity. You cannot see your own self in the dark. Allah said in the Quran, that's so dark that if you put your hand in front of you, you cannot see it. One of the things we have now is light pollution. What that means? Farah. What light pollution means? You don't know. Amara. Light pollution. A problem now in that. Louder?
Doesn't it block like a clear view of the night sky?
Block?
Like you can't see any of the stars anymore.
Light pollution. There's light pollution. There's one place in Britain where there's no light pollution. So when there's a great phenomena in the atmosphere, they say go to that place because there's no light pollution. There's no light around you. No street lights. There's no house lights. There's nothing. Pitch dark. It's very, very dark. And the difference between seeing North Korea and South Korea is North Korea have no light pollution because they haven't got lights anyway. And the South Korea, very advanced, and they have lights in every street. Is light pollution. Light polluted our atmosphere at night. So the question easy to answer. أتى أمر الله فلا تستعجلوا. Every human Allah Azza wa Jal is in control of. وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ إِلَّا وَآخِذٌ بِنَاصِيَتِهَا. Every creature Allah in control of his command-controlled part of his body, which is the frontal lobe, and Allah closer to us than our jugular vein, but it's not inside us. Closer to us with his control, ability, change and unchange and things. But you cannot say Allah is inside me, I'm inside Allah. We don't know what Allah is. But you need always to think that the question about why can't we see Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't arise because Allah Azza wa Jal is not a matter you can see. I need to stamp 223 on your way out. So sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.